There's a warning there this week in the High Court from a High Court judge about downloadable wills and templates that you might find online. There's no difficulty with any person making a will for themselves, and it's a relatively straightforward thing to do. But the difficulty is, especially nowadays, with families being more contentious and litigious, and with perhaps a range of assets, some of which will be included in a person's estate and some of which won't be included. It's easy enough to make a mess of a will, and there is a warning there this week from a judge in the High Court who oversees a lot of probate cases. She cautions against the use of online templates. As she said, they are, quote, an extremely unsafe method for ensuring one's intentions are carried out after death. Miss Justice Siobhan Stack acknowledged that solicitor-drafted wills can also cause difficulties for interpreting a deceased person's intentions, but she said such issues are much more likely to arise in the case of a homemade will. So problems can occur. No will is bulletproof. The simpler you keep it, the better, however. And a solicitor can make a mess of a will, and solicitors do, like other human beings, make mistakes. But by and large, the chances of a will being declared invalid or going badly wrong and leaving a mess afterwards is far greater with a downloadable template that you might find online, or indeed you might be able to purchase one in a shop like Easton's or some other stationery shop. A will is not going to cost you a huge amount of money when you go to a solicitor, so professional advice, it is recommended, should be sought when making a will. And the judge made this recommendation while ruling in a case that was brought over difficulties interpreting a man's will that was contained in an internet-sourced template. In this case, the judge had to consider seemingly clashing clauses and to interpret a term she said was unknown to Irish or neighbouring law. The likelihood is then that this was a template that was probably downloaded from perhaps the United States or someplace. Wills can be written on the back of beer mats, they can be written on pieces of paper, they can actually be carved in stone. But a valid will is absolutely essential for the estate to be dealt with properly and for a grant of probate to be issued. Experts then, the Law Society says it encourages people to exercise caution if making a will without a solicitor's advice. There are situations where it can be done safely without solicitor involvement, but such instances are likely to be rare. The Law Society recommends everyone over the age of 18 has a will to ensure their property and other possessions go to people they choose, and also to ensure that their estate is administered by the person that they choose. Primary pitfalls of homemade wills, these downloadable templates, are that they are too vague and certain or contain poor wording or do not have backup clauses in the event a provision no longer applies or an intended recipient predeceases the will maker. Those backup clauses would be standard enough in a will that's prepared by a solicitor. Legal services for will makers can cost a couple of €100, but it's not uncommon for solicitors to offer their services on wills for free if providing other more expansive services to a client. Solicitors are often drafted in by executors looking to prove a deceased's homemade will, but by this stage it may be too late to correct any errors or to clarify clauses, and an unclear will can cause family rifts, disputes, etc. And we've all seen desperate cases which have basically ended up in the High Court in very expensive litigation that empties the estate of a huge amount of the resources. Hope you find this video useful. If you do, I'd appreciate if you give it the thumbs up down below. Thanks a lot.